Welcome to Module 7, Page Headers and Footers with Genero Report Writer 2.21. When you finish watching the videos for Module 7, you're going to be able to add headers and footers to a report. We're going to tell you about how to add an image to the report, and we'll add it to the report header. We're going to tell you about adding page numbers to a report, and we're going to use reference and info nodes to act as counters and references within the report itself. You might not understand what a reference and info node is now, but when we're done with that slide, it will make sense to you. Okay, what makes a header and footer? Well, in order to understand a header and footer, first you just have to realize that when we have a page, when we have a mini page out there, and a page root is a mini page, a stripe is a mini page, you can have a horizontal layout mini page or a vertical layout mini page. When you have a page out there, the page can have ports in it, and these ports are locations or sections where you can tell it to put in a header, you can tell it where to put in a footer, you can tell it to do it on the first page, on even pages, on odd pages, on any pages. So when you go out there to create a header or footer, you're going to create a layout node container. You're going to give that layout node container an X size of max and a Y size of min. And then within this layout node container, you're going to set what is known as a section property. And that section property is going to say what port of the parent mini page it should attach that layout node to. So what are those mini page ports? We can see it by looking at one of our layout nodes, looking at one of our simple layout nodes, looking down at the section property, and if we went and accessed the drop-down list box, you can see that it's an any page header, first page header, odd page header, even page header. Then we have a group relating to footers, any page footer, first page footer, odd page footer, and even page footer. We have something called an item separator. That's a separate concept. I'm going to talk about that at the very end of this video series for Module 7. When we put that layout container out there, if we specify a section property, we say it's either one of these types of headers or one of these types of footers, it says, when I print out a page, where should this layout node appear? Now, only one header or one footer is going to be printed per page. So if you've defined a first page header as well as an any page header, when it comes time to print that first page, it will print the first page header and it'll ignore the any page header. For all subsequent pages, it'll use the any page header. So the most distinctive header is going to be printed on a page. If it's the first page, that's printed. Otherwise, we look to see if there's an odd or even header or footer. And then if neither of those apply, then we go ahead and print the any page header and footer. Once we add this layout node, this simple layout node, and we identify it as a page header or a page footer, and we set the section property, you need to place it inside of the report structure such that that node, that header node or that footer node, is the elder sibling of any other nodes that don't have the section property set. So easy to describe looking at the pictures here. A good layout of that report structure, if I have a page header where any header is set, if I have a page footer where any footer is set, they'll both need to sit above your report triggers with its table row or its stripes that don't have a section set. However, if I have a page header and then I have my triggers, inside of this triggers, I have my table row and then I have a page footer, well, that table row is a mini page that does not have a section header. And you're going to get an error message that says node order violation. Node has section property set, but is preceded by a node not having the property set. Repair this by moving this node before any nodes that do not have the property defined. Now, this might not seem logical to you if you're looking at the GUI, because inside of our main work area, the display is going to show the header, and then it's going to show the footer, and then it's going to show your detail. But you know that when you print it out, you want to have the header, then you want to have the detail, and then you want to have the footer. That's just one of the things about Report Writer that you have to understand, and you have to be willing to accept that these nodes that have the section property must appear higher in the structure tree, and as such, when you look at the WYSIWYG or the near WYSIWYG inside of the work area, it's not going to look exactly like the report that's printing out because the footer is going to appear above the detail of the report. Now, because of how this is structured, footer nodes are printed when the page is first drawn. So when it comes time to create that footer, it's doing it before it reads in all the detail of that page. So they will contain the values applicable to the first data row that's rendered on the page, not the last data row as it is in 4GL. We're going to stop now and take a quick look at putting some headers and footers onto a report so that I can drive home the points made in these slides. To talk about the headers and footers and their placement within the structure report, let's go ahead and open our list report that we have been working on in previous videos. And I have a list report. If I look at the structure, I can see that I have a page root. I have the page header that was created by my list report template. And I also have my table row that is sitting on underneath the on every row. In the last labs, we added the order total stripe, the store total stripe, and the report total stripe. Well, if I look at the page header, the first thing to point out is the reason that it is a page header, the reason it appears on every page. It's a layout node. It's the simple layout node. And its section is set to any page header. If I wanted to add a first page header, what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and create a copy of this. I'm going to paste it to my page root, and I'm going to rename it to say first page header. Now, if I go and look at my document errors tab, you'll notice that it says my first page header has a node order violation. The node has a section property set, but it is preceded by a node that does not have the section property set. It's preceded not only by table row, it's preceded by report total stripe. I need to go and take this first page header, and I need to move it prior to my nodes, prior to my mini pages that do not have that set. And now that I've moved it up in the structure view, we can see that the error message has gone away. So let me go ahead and add another node here. I'm going to go to the page root, and this time I'm going to go and add a vertical box layout node that I want to serve as a footer. So I'm going to rename this to say page footer. Now that I've renamed it to say page footer, I don't have my error message yet, even though it's lower down in the hierarchy. And why? Because I haven't set its section. If I go into its properties, and I go and I set this section to read any page footer, the error appears because I need to now take this any page footer and I need to move it up in the hierarchy. Now visually what this means, I'm going to go ahead and place a word box inside of the any page footer just so that we see, and I'm going to give it some text that says page footer here. Now, if I look at my visual interpretation of the report based upon what I've added, let me click preview mode. This is not how your report is going to print out. You're not going to have two headers in a row, followed by the page footer, followed by the detail values. This just happens to be, this is why it's near WYSIWYG, and it's something that you learn to work with. But it does tell you, okay, this is how my page header is going to appear. This is how my first page header is going to appear. And this is how my page footer is going to appear. And this is how my detail is going to appear. However, when it prints out, it will print out header, then detail, then footer, header, then detail, then footer.